Alright, it is sanding time. So what I'm going to do now, we have the triangle stock right here on top, and we need to round this off. Could leave it, I guess, with a point, but I'm going to round it off just to go to uniform with the wing. But I just take some nice rough stuff first. I'm just going to kind of get a rounded edge going here instead of a point. And then after you get the point going, or out of there, you basically just hold it on its trailing edge. And then I'm just going to take my stuff. And then once I get it roughed down to where this is, then I'm going to take some fine sandpaper with the same exact method that I'm doing. And do a fine sandpaper. And that's what's going to give you the nice finish. And you can also, give it this type of thing. The thing you want to be very aware of is that when you're touching this is only a 16th inch thick, remember, so that'll sand through pretty quickly. We're just trying to get the edge and to get this rounded off to the front of the wing here. But you don't want to sand down this too much. And then after you get that, you're going to take a sanding block and basically, oops, this is the bottom of the wing. It's always nice to practice with the bottom of the wing first. To the top of the wing, if there's any little flaws that you don't like or whatever, you can just go ahead and eliminate it. You just want to kind of rough sand it. Remember, the more sanding you do, the nicer your finish is going to look. The nicer the monocoat or whatever you choose to wrap it with is going to lay down. It's going to be nice and flat. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this to both of my wings. Wing tips, leading edges here. Get a nice uniform sand all the way down the line. Blend it in smooth with everything. And then we'll final sand it later. I also use microfill. I don't know which way the camera's facing, so either way. So microfill wood filler, basically it's just like balsa wood, only in a pasty form. It's a little dry, a little wet, just kind of damp, almost like a pie dough. And basically you just fill that into the cracks that you have. If you have any cracks you want to get filled, you just take your finger, smear it right in. And this you'll do before you do any of the final sanding, but I just wanted to show you the techniques on the sanding to get the nose down. Those of you who have the quarter by quarter stock, you're not going to do any of that because it's already rounded to that form. You might give it a light sanding around the top of it just to smooth it out. Like I said, just punch this stuff down inside it, and you can use, this is called micro fill. There's micro balloons. There's all kinds of stuff that you can use. You can use sawdust, basically any of the dust that you collect from sanding. You can put it in a little pile and then just stick that in there. You can use baby powder mixed with epoxy. That works great, and you can sand that down nice and easy too. But anything just to fill a couple of little cracks, just to give it that nice even flow. You'd put this on, it doesn't take that long to dry, and then you can just go ahead and sand that down once it dries. So then once you get all your little holes and cracks filled that didn't really fill during the build, and just go ahead and sand it all down nice and smooth and flush. And that's all I'm going to be doing, is just filling in the little cracks that I have, and that's going to be it. Just got a couple little ones that I didn't cut quite wide enough or sanded a little too short, but I said I wasn't worried about it because I had this type stuff. And it doesn't really stick to your fingers all that much or anything. You can wipe it right off. Alright? As you can see, it's starting to take shape here. Just want to get a nice smooth contrast going around the thing. And the most important thing of all of it is just that you want to make it equal on both sides. So you want your round point to come to the center, and that's where you're using the fine sandpaper at the end. And just going over it nice and lightly. Let the sandpaper do the work. You don't have to. And just doing this here is going to round it right off nice. And not to push too hard, just hard enough to make it round. And that way it'll be equal all the way down the wing. And be prepared, there's going to be sawdust just about everywhere. So have a dust buster on. And then after you get your front to where you're pretty happy with it, I'm pretty happy with mine right now, and I want to start eating to the wood. I'll give it more of a fine tuning a little bit later. But right now I'm happy with that. And the next thing you want to do is just take your rough sanding block here. I'm using 60 grit for the rough course, and I'm using 150 grit for the fine sandpaper. And now I'm just going to sand those leading edges down flush to the wingtip. Let's give it a rough first. Like I said, I'm just going to let the sandpaper do all the work. The lighter you are on it, the better it comes out. I want to get it kind of close with the rough. Once I get kind of close with the rough sandpaper, then I'll take the fine sandpaper and bring it right down to where I need it to go. But the last thing you want to do is over-force it with the sandpaper, put too much pressure on it. Next thing you know, you got yourself some splinters and cracked edges, and that's not what sandpaper is supposed to do. So there's one wingtip on the trailing edge. Now I'll just hit up the front end. And as soon as you can, I start doing the little circular motion. That's going to ensure everything's equal on both sides. There we go. Looking nice. So I got the right wing half all sanded down. Or the right wing tip all flush and even. Leading edge. Now I'm going to do the left side. Alright, there is the wing. All sanded and finished. Looking pretty good, I guess. I'll do some more final sanding on it. But I'm liking the way it looks right now. So I'm going to move on. It's time to do the air-ons.